good? It's Kil.
And Dr. Roz.
TillDeafInfo.com. Obviously, y'all like talking about sex.
Oh my gosh.
Because we've never gotten as much feedback and emails and questions since the sex talk. So we figured, keep the party going.
Don't stop.
We keep talking about sex. But this past week, I actually had the opportunity to go out and talk at Roz's class. And great group as usual. And one of the young ladies had made a point that was like an aha moment for me and Roz that we had never thought of before. And she basically was saying when she was younger, a teenager, college, she was wild, she wanted sex a certain way. But then she eventually matured out of that and wanted sex to become something that was more loving and, more meaningful.
Yeah, more meaningful.
And it made me sit back and say, we both kind of looked at each other like, wow, we never heard anything like that.
Or never thought about it, I guess, in that manner.
Right. So what it kind of looked like to me was, my response was, I think men, we just get stuck. We want that wild, crazy, what do I call it, assassination sex.
Yeah, yes.
Assassination sex to where it's nothing loving about it. It's just, trying to do with, our old heads or, not too many men have ever told a younger man, sex is supposed to be something that's loving. It's an act between two people who love each other, and it's to show love. Nah, we're raised, or I was raised to, that it would just have sex with as many women.
Probably most men.
Yeah.
Probably most men.
That, have sex with as many women as possible, do the thing, get in, get out, boom, it's not about pleasing her, it's about you getting your release, getting your thing off and everything like
and
that.
And as many people as you can do it, probably.
Right. So it kind of made us realize, like, that's a great point that women mature because, my thing, even from my past was, women like that. And if you talk to the average guy, not too many guys who were having sex in high school and college years, I don't think their girlfriends were like, oh, you don't tell me you love me enough, or this isn't romantic enough, or, any of those things. You're doing it in your dorm room, your roommate was asleep, or if your roommate was there, not like you didn't care. And for men, we get stuck. So we're looking at it like, how did my shorties in high school and college get down with it not being a problem, and now all of a sudden you're married and your wife is talking all this, well, I need love, and, you didn't call me, and sex starts in the kitchen, and men are looking like, what's good? Like, what happened?
It's not the whole, and not that I really have like a lot of experience with that whole,
doing it in the dorm room?
Doing it in a dorm room, or even in high school for that matter. But I think because we're just less mature at that point, it's all about, I did something. I don't really think it is for the act of love. It's about, the whole peer pressure thing, all of that good stuff. So I have to give the shout out really to Tiffany, one of our followers, because she really brought out a great point that once you're married, sex should be meaningful and it should mean something. And honestly, I don't want to, I can't speak for the masses, but in my personal opinion, people probably don't even think about sex in a way that it should probably be meaningful. I think women might think about it more, but I don't think it ever crosses the guy's mind that it should be more meaningful.
No, we think sex should be exactly the way it was when we was 15 and 16, like that. Because, but then the bigger picture is look at it like this. Who would have told us different?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So a lot of women would be like, really? But who would have told us different?
Right.
Like, there's something in you women that y'all just had that nurturing thing. Y'all mature quicker than us. Y'all mature, period. I don't know if men even mature. So at the end of the day, it's just who would have taught us that, okay, you have sex this way until you're married, and then you have sex this way after you're married. Nobody's teaching us that. So at the end of the day, and then, especially if you're in a relationship where you guys were having sex before you got married. I know lots of men who are like, before I got married, sex was great. Now I'm married to the same woman and sex is whack.
And I don't think that men take into account that when women become the wife, there is a different role that we take on. I mean, it's an honor, it's a privilege, and you feel like you should be doing things completely different. Like now we're family. So at this point,
well, we don't want the family sex. we want the dad's sex. What was we before, friends?
well, I don't think it was as meaningful before. It may have been meaningful for the woman, but for the guy, I don't think it's that whole meaningful thing. And I think for women, it's like if you ask me to be your wife, then obviously you must think something great about me for me to be the one. And so sex should get better, I guess. It should be more meaningful.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's across the board. I think when people get married, everybody kind of just lets their guard down. It's kind of like, you go through all this preparation, job interview, you're looking up what's the mission statement, all the interview process, you're on point. But even when you usually get the work 9 times out of 10, you're on point for a while.
Yeah,
at least until you may find where the dips and the dives where you can kind of maneuver around. But for the most part, you get the work.
Or you find a place where you get comfortable.
Right. But when you start a new job, I'm sure you're going to be there a little bit early. You're going to leave a little bit later. You're going to prove your worth so that you can move up in those ranks. But I think the problem is we get married and it's like that's the highest rank. It's not like we're going to.
That's a great point.
Yeah, we're not gonna. It's not like you're married times 5 now. Right, you get a master's plus. It's kind of like you're at that level, whereas there's nothing more to work for.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like getting a job as the CEO, and it's like, well, what else do I have
now?
to do? The whole story, the American story is, I started in the mailroom and I worked my way up and through all this hard work. But if you just come in as the CEO, it's kind of like, what else is there to do?
What do you have to prove? Yeah.
So it's almost like the girlfriend time and the fiance time is that proving ground, and you're doing all this great work to prove that you should get this job.
I think that's a great point.
I'm nice.
I'm
know.
Nice
I'm nice
that's
with
a good point.
I'm nice with it, and that's off the top. That's a freestyle.
See, that's what I'm talking about. And really, you bring up a good point because you feel like marriage is the pinnacle of all relationships, and that might be the sole reason why people get bored in their marriages, because it's like, what's the next thing? So then people have kids, and then it's like, what's the next thing?
When you're married.
Yeah, it's like, don't say that.
And they will.
No, hush.
Okay.
It's like, baby, gonna see this one day.
And they knows I love it. You killing mommy and daddy though, but we love you.
Oh my gosh. See, this is why I still have a job as a psychologist. For parents like this, no kidding. But no, seriously, when you think about it, is that you feel like you can't progress in your marriage. It's like, what's the next step in a relationship?
Right.
And if marriage is the highest pinnacle of what a relationship can become.
Well, you know what the highest pinnacle should be? A happy marriage.
I agree with that.
That's what cats should be shooting for.
I agree with that.
A lot of people were married, but a lot of people who are happily married. And I don't know if you watch the show, Love and Hip Hop. I think it's called.
I do.
This past week's show kind of impressed me.
When the girl proposed?
Nah, that's
I was like, I wasn't feeling that.
Need to be proposed
yeah.
But what I like what she was saying, she was going to do a whole striptease thing for her man.
Oh, yeah.
And her thing was, if Jimmy thought he was getting freaky sex before, he needs to know what he could get. And I'm sure it probably wouldn't even change. But just the fact that her mindset was like, if my man thinks what I'm giving him now is good, wait till he sees what I'm going to give him when I get married.
And I think most women want to be that way for their husband.
But I think y'all used up all y'all tricks.
Well,
y'all used up all
the
tricks getting the job. So now
there
aren't any tricks left. But I think the man would be fine with the tricks she did before, but she don't even do them tricks no more. So
no, I agree with that, because you're so busy trying to get the person and you forget about the maintenance, maintaining the relationship. So you get the goal, you get what you want, but now what are you doing to maintain it? Like, are you working as hard to maintain it? And this is something I have to think about myself, because
I think it's something that we all have to think about, because the whole premise is that pinnacle should be having a happy marriage.
Right, right.
Not that anything is going to be perfect. Not that anybody's going to have I didn't say the perfect marriage.
But
I just said having a happy marriage.
But the problem is, Kil, whenever you want to sit down and be like, let's talk about our relationship, both parties just get so defensive that it's just like, you can't get to, the core of getting to the greatness of your relationship if both parties are going to be defensive.
I mean, yeah, and it's something that we both have to do a better job on as far as listening and as far as being critiqued.
And active listening.
Yeah.
Active listening. Because I know I can say stuff to my husband and I know he ain't listening to me, so then I got to say something crazy to catch his attention. So he's like, wait, what you say again? And I think that's a trait of most men.
It's a trait of most men.
Yeah.
It's a trait of most women because y'all don't listen either.
Well,
it's a trait of
probably
people.
So. Yeah, I agree.
At the end of the day, we have to be able to sit back and really get the grasp on. It's going to take work to make this marriage successful.
And you've got to be willing to do the hard work.
Right. You got to be willing
that's
to.
That's why marriages don't last. People aren't willing to do the hard work.
Yeah, because it's hard work.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
I always say that marriage is the hardest thing that you'll have to do because initially you're supposed to be putting somebody else's needs above your own. And for years, I'd be like, oh, I'm the most giving person and I'll sacrifice. But I really didn't understand what sacrifice was until really Naomi came. It's like, with G a month for daycare, like, yo, I could have a BMW, I could have a bigger house, but I don't want her going down the street to Trashika's daycare watching Maury all day. So we sacrifice bigger houses and bigger cars for, our child to get.
No offense, Trashika.
Yeah, no offense,
if
Trashika.
You're out
you
there.
Hold it down for the kids in the hood. But I didn't want my daughter being in her graduating class. So I just look at it like those are the sacrifices we make for our children and we're proud of it. We wear it like a badge of honor. Like, look what I did so that my child could be more successful. We have to be able to wear that same badge of honor to be able to say, look at how I held my wife down while she was getting a doctorate degree. Look how I held my husband down when, he was doing his music thing, things like that. And we have to wear those as a badge of honor instead of it always being regrets or, things like that. And at the end of the day, marriage is more so, like I always say, we could love our spouses just half as much as we love our kids. And God actually calls us to love our spouses more than we love our kids. But I'm a realist. I'll go for half. I'll take half. And we would do so much more for them. So I just think at the end of the day, you got the job, but now you have to keep the job. And I think what a lot of people feel like is now that I'm the CEO, who's going to oust me?
Yeah.
I'm the boss.
Yeah.
Who's going to get rid of me? He's not going to leave me. She's not going to leave me. So we get this arrogant attitude about ourselves that, you can't fire me now.
You're right.
All through the break of relationship and engagement, it's like, yo, he could call this off at any time. Or she could dip at any time. Or, if I don't do X, Y, and Z, I know these other chicks out here on campus will do X, Y, and Z. So you're always on your best. You're always on your game.
Hey, I think you bring up a good point with like
that's
the whole. I know that's why we cool like that. You bring up a good point in terms of like the whole CEO who's gonna fire me thing, and I think that's when we have to realize. And here's the kind of the head of the household kind of thing. Yes, your husband is the head of the household, but he still has an authority over him, and that authority should be God or whoever your God is. For me, it's Jesus Christ, God, Lord, Savior. But whoever your God is, there still needs to be some type of authority of your life. And when you start running around in a marriage or trying to have a marriage and you're not subscribing to any authority, it's going to collapse. It's going to falter. Like I don't see how it can work without that. But at the end of the day,
we'll talk about sex and more because we want to keep people coming
interested.
Back. And obviously other stuff about marriage doesn't interest folks. But we can talk about sex all day. So. But keep it locked, tilldeathinfo.com. Kil and Dr. Roz.